Are you a guitar player and are curious about how to write drums? Have I got a video for you today? Today, we're going to do exactly that. We're going to talk about how to write drums from a guitar player's perspective. So what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. My name is Xander Raymond Charles. I'm a riff writer, dude. I love writing riffs, and if you clicked on this video, you probably like writing riffs too. So this video is to help you guys, and I want to give my own experience on how I was once upon a time a kid with a hope and a dream and a camera, and now I write and tour and play guitar professionally. I'm still a kid with a hope and a dream and a camera, maybe slightly older, but my point is that I had no real training with any of this stuff. I just kind of figured it out along the way and kind of created a unique drum style, if you will, or not unique necessarily, but certainly a style from me, meaning nobody really ever taught me this stuff, and I kind of figured it out over the years. So I want to tell you guys how I write drums for my music as a solo artist and as a ghostwriter and as a collaborator and content creator. So if at any point in time you guys like this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. And if there's anything I miss or like you need some additional information, I'll be sure to do my very best to answer you down below in the comment section, okay? About maybe a week ago at the time of this filming, I made a YouTube short and an Instagram reel with this piece of content right here. I'm really proud of that riff. I love that riff a lot. I think it's sick. It's very on brand with me, meaning it sounds like something I personally would create. And yeah, dude, I love it. So how did I come up with the drums to coincide with that riff? So here's how the riff goes really quick. Came out pretty clean. I'm actually proud of that. Surprised at that. Put myself on the spot. Anyway, that's how the riff goes. You best believe I'm going to put that in my back pocket for a later date. I'm definitely going to make a full-on song and then release it to the world. So yeah, dude, I love making music for myself and for other people. It's awesome. I think that's a good riff. That's how the riff goes. I wrote that riff, just trying how I always do, just always trying to come up with something cool, fun, somewhat unique, etc. But when it's time to put drums to it, where do we go? I always use mixed wave drums, okay? This video is not sponsored by mixed wave. However, anytime I have written albums or stuff like that, like Humans Taste Bad was mixed wave Lorna Shore. And currently I'm using the new Sleep Token pack, I guess we'll say. Sleep Token preset plugin, signature plugin from 2, the drummer too. So yeah, that's the tones I'm using for my drums currently. Okay, so there's the riff example. So where's my head at? What am I trying to do from a drum perspective? Here it is right here, and this is what I want to teach you guys and recommend that you guys try it out in your own arrangements. Whenever I'm trying to come up with drum ideas, I'm always thinking about that feeling of like being in the crowd and like bobbing your head and like headbanging, essentially, I think it's called, right? But I'm always trying to convey that feeling in the money riff, the good riff, the main riff of an arrangement. And the best way to do that from my own experience is to really focus on the kick and the snare in your drum track. I always want to put a kick or a snare, or sometimes both, but 70% kick, 30% snare, always on a percussive spot, always on like a down groove of my riff. I always want to embellish the riff, and I always want to beef up the riff with a kick and a snare, meaning whenever I'm chugging, wherever I'm picking down predominantly, or just, making a note, a rhythmic note on the guitar, I'm going to put a kick and a snare on that part of the riff. That creates groove, that creates feel, that creates heaviness, it creates punchiness. That's always what I'm trying to do, okay? So what I want to do now is I want to hop into the Logic project of that mix, and I just want to quickly give an overview of where I'm going in terms of drums. Okay, so here's the Logic project. Let's hear the song in this Logic session. Now, if we solo the drums. let's pay attention to the kicks and watch how they hit every single time the guitar riff hits as well. And then focusing on the snares, the same concept applies. And now taking a look at the cymbals, they're obviously keeping time. And if you notice towards the end of every measure, I more or less add a little accent in there as well with the cymbals. So altogether, you can hear how when I have the drums playing, coinciding with the riff and the bass guitar and the synth, they're always hitting every single time. It's an important part of the riff, an impactful part of the riff. So that's it, everybody. It's kind of cut and dry, but you know, it takes time. But for me, I'm always focusing on the kick and the snare. That's always the bread and butter of any good drum arrangement for me personally. Meaning I'm always trying to marry the drums to the riff from a rhythmic standpoint. This has nothing to do with music theory, but it's like basic, you know, rhythm theory. And what makes riffs hit hard for me is anytime there's a percussive element to a riff, whether it's a chug, a down pick, you know, something that lands hard, I always put a kick or a snare literally on the grid to the riff. That makes it feel extra punchy, makes it feel locked in. You know, you hear all these buzzwords and stuff, but like that really hits home for me and it sounds awesome. And then the cymbals and stuff like that, that's just all for accents and, you know, keeping time, sure, but like the little splashes and stuff like that, that's just like a little extra spice to the recipe. And that more or less happens at the end of every measure, I would say. Meaning if we have 4 bars, at the end of the 4th bar, I'll start throwing in either some drum fills or some splashes, but everything else in the beginning or like 3/4 of the riff, it's all about kick, snare, and then just keeping time with any sort of cymbal hit. Whenever I come up with a riff, or I recommend whenever you come up with a riff, always embellish your riffs and marry your riffs to the drums and predominantly kick and snare. Whenever you hit something on the guitar, put a kick or a snare there on the track as well, and that should make your riff just sound super punchy, super percussive, etc. And if I were to guess where I got this style from, I would have to pinpoint it to my formative years of playing heavy style guitar, predominantly playing the first 2 Parkway Drive albums, Killing with a Smile and Horizons. I grew up on that stuff quite heavily, and that was like the first band that was tangible and challenging for me on the guitar. And all that old stuff is very metalcore 101, very breakdown oriented, and I love that sound. I love that sound and that style, and I have more or less adapted that kind of concept into my own music. I'm not the first person to do that, obviously, but you know, getting up on like the 17th and 19th fret all the time, using baritones, etc., like taking the metalcore side of things, down tuning really super low, and then playing up high on the low string and the upper register. That is just kind of like where my style has more or less, you know, developed to this point in time. So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you had fun hanging out with me. Again, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. If there's anything I missed, I would really love to hear from you guys down below in the comment section. All right, everybody. It's a quick little video. Hope you learned something. I love you guys so much. And with that being said, see you guys in a video very, very soon. Later.